Good morning and welcome to Paul's Property Podcast. Now again this morning, I hope you're all well as always. Again this morning we were hoping to talk with Kathy, my wife, about her lettings department, but the lettings world is so crazy at the moment that she's literally already out on viewings this morning, which with respect obviously are more important than my podcast. Apparently so. So instead, what we're doing is we want to bring you up to date with the marketplace as a whole, because it is literally changing on a day-by-day basis. The time of year doesn't really help, which I believe we're gonna come on to. And what we've done is I've invited young Aidan down to be with us again today. Now Aidan is going to quick fire some questions at me, which I think are very apt to where we are today, because we're certainly not if I stepped back in time to say 2002, for instance, when you'd had the same market every day, or even 2 years after the credit crunch, 2013, 2014, where it was very much everyday business. Things are changing so much at the moment with inflation, with interest rates, with the market as a whole, seasonal, people are away, so many different factors. So Aidan's going to run through some winners. So I very much hope that you find some of these helpful and informative to you. So Aidan, fire away, buddy.
Okay, thank you so much for having me on again. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
So, first question, are you selling at the moment?
Property, I presume.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Funnily enough, yes, we are. The big thing at the moment, because there are so many people away, is bringing new stock to the market, which is something else that we can come on to. But as far as we're selling, absolutely fantastic. It just goes to show, because the viewing levels on a normal time of year, for argument's sake, are probably down to about 25 to 30% of what they should be. Mm-hmm. But everybody that's out viewing at the moment is a good buyer, is a good viewer. So, where are we? We're on Friday morning. This week, for instance, we put in 6 good sales. Mm-hmm. So that's, the date today is the 18th, thank you, of August. That's what happens when you work 7 days a week. So for mid to late August, that is really, really good. So we are selling. Mm-hmm. There are people out there. There are people being educated by what I say and what others, their brokers, are saying about interest rates. And that's the base rate is kind of being almost, I don't want to say forgotten about, but it's almost very much on the back burner as opposed to what it was during Liz Truss's budget, so to speak, which seems a lifetime away now. But yeah, we are selling. So there's good confidence in the marketplace. So viewings, every viewing that's booked is a good viewing at the moment. So yeah, 100%, buddy, 100%.
Yeah. Okay, amazing. Well, that's great. Back on to what you just said. Are you bringing on a lot of new stock?
The answer to that is no. To be completely honest, which I know is very rare for an estate agent, to be honest. But the answer is no. I believe, and that is a traditional thing. Mm-hmm. Having done this, as you know, this is my 28th year as an estate agent. Always this time of year is people are trying to cram in time with their families before the kids have got to go out to school, which I believe is in a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. The summer that we supposedly have had is coming to an end. We've got, the end of August, bank holiday week, Monday. Mm-hmm. So stock levels are low, frankly. We're out of those. I'm out on 3 valuations today. We've got 2 new instructions coming to market today, which is great. So it will return. That will return to normal, I would suggest, second week into September, realistically. But it's a very traditional time. I'm not, even as a business person, concerned about it, because I know I've done nothing wrong. There's nothing more I can do. There's nothing out there. It's time of year.
Right.
And that's the bottom line. It really, really is,
Yeah. And you keep mentioning this sort of time of year. So how do different seasons affect the market and affect your business?
Very good question. It's let's forget, and please forgive me for saying this, those that are really affected, the pandemic. Yeah. It is very absolute within the mortgage market, within the property market. So if we start at the beginning, in the old days, January was really uplifting time before Rightmove and Zoopla and things called computers apparently. And we had, if you came to market beginning of the year, you phoned your agent when you went back in, January 4th, 5th. We'd go there, two of us go around at the end of the tape measure and bring it to market. Now the time for that is Boxing Day, of course, because Boxing Day is traditionally and statistically the busiest day of the year for Rightmove and Zoopla. So that's when the market really lifts at the beginning of the year. That will continue and probably die off, I would suggest, instruction-wise into February. February's a horrible month. Very rainy, very cold, very wet. Everybody's a bit peed off because Christmas was gone. And, spring isn't yet amongst us. And then you come into the beginning of March and so many different marketplaces open. For instance, where we are, a very strong market at that time of year, it's a Brighton college market. Because people need to buy, be settled when their kids start at the college beginning of September. Spring is the traditional time to sell. Daffodils are coming through the grass and so on and so forth. It raises confidence. It raises mental well-being as a whole, I believe. And that is, I would suggest, the strongest time of year. Now that will progress and be nice and busy. And then you really start to see into the mid tail end section of June into July, things will start to trickle down. Although busy, okay, we're taking properties on, but in the back of everybody's mind is summer. And then you get into August, where we are now, as I've just said, very, very, very quiet. It's traditionally the quietest month of the year. And then literally you get into September, kids go back to school, people start to get back into their everyday routine. Then all of a sudden, you can literally pinpoint a day of being anywhere between the sort of the 15th and the 19th of September. All of a sudden, it's, I want to move and be in for Christmas. So the market literally will lift. And we've got, we talk about stock levels, we've got a number of properties going to market at that time. We've got a number of properties, I hate to use the word reduction, but have been, staying on the market over the summer. So they will be reduced at that time. There's no point doing it before because no eyes on the market. That time will lift. So tail end of September through November, literally October rather, into November. And then once you start hitting the second week of October, the Christmas crackers appear in the shops and Christmas presents, and then eyes come off the market, and all of a moment it's time for Christmas. So in December, you still sell. People that aren't that orientated will buy. It's very much time for us, sales progression, because people want to be in their new homes for Christmas. But sales wise, again, very, very, very quiet. Not a lot of properties will come on the market, but we'll hold them back for that Boxing Day launch.
Right. Okay.
On Rightmove and Zoopla. So predominantly, in answer, it's a long way of answering your question. Sorry. So January, end of December. That last week, December and New Year, is really busy. So all those agents out there that shut, silly, you're missing out. January's great. February's a little bit quiet. Into March, nice lift. Into the spring, fantastic. Summer, quieter, but you still keep your foot on the accelerator. Coming in September, another lift, and then diminishes towards the end of the year.
Right, okay. That makes sense. So another add-on to that question is, if it's so busy at those times, is it better to buy during those busy periods or when it's quieter where you think you might be able to sort of try and get an offer?
Outstanding question. You have more selection during those times. So, for instance, people that, let's look at schooling, which is a very important factor where we are. For people to register for St Luke's School, Queen's Park School, Carlton Hill, and so on and so forth, you need to be at your address, I believe, in January to register for the following educational year. So when it's busy, people are looking. When the choice is on the market, people will look. When it comes to the quieter times, are you going to get a better deal? Now, a long time ago, not me, I hasten to add, but there are associates, shall I say, of mine that would buy at this time of year in August and buy 2 or 3 days before the agent shut down for December. especially because there's less people going through the door.
Mm-hmm.
So people are more tempted to, especially if they've got a poor agent, to take a bid that they shouldn't be taking. Especially coming up to Christmas, people like to be able to relax at Christmas, think, oh, thank God, we've gone off on the table, we can chill out, we can really enjoy our family Christmas, and move on from there. So it's for the majority of people, I would say 85 to 90% of people will embrace the busier time of the year, because that will give them more choice where they want to be, more properties in the places that they want to be. Your investors, dare I use the word, your sneaky trying to steal a deal, so to speak, will manipulate or try and manipulate the times of year when we are a little bit quieter.
Right.
But that's something I hasten to add that myself and my team look out for, because our job is to get the best possible price for my vendor. So I won't tolerate someone coming in and trying to throw a cheeky deal at a property. I won't have it. I'll tell to my vendor, wait a couple of weeks, let the market lift. Don't hold your nerve. Yeah, hold your nerve. Don't accept that figure, please, because your property's worth more money. So that comes down to what we've spoken before, having a good agent and the agent doing the best they possibly can for you.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. And now, completely different subject, however, still quite relevant. As we're coming into a new day and age with social media, how is it actually starting to affect the market and your business itself?
Social media. Now, those that know me know that I'm not the most, I think it's IT person in the world, but I do very much recognise the need, necessity, and the growing demand and audience for social media. I believe that I'm very excited today where we've got several new instructions that our lovely Sam is going to visit, and we're going to introduce those to our followers. I think that by definition, sitting here and recording my podcast, I think is very important, because without meaning to sound arrogant, I feel I know the market. I know what I'm doing. Yeah. I've been doing it for a very long time. I know what I'm doing. I can read the signs. I can literally, such as, my phone call before we came downstairs to the 11s, my mortgage broker. What's the deal of the week, Neil? And a lot's happening within the mortgage market, with changes literally by the hour. But when it comes to social media itself, I think it's something that, to be frank, we should have picked up on earlier. And as we grow, as our listeners grow, as our audience grows, it will. I have no doubt. It's not going to be an overnight thing. It's something you need to grow. It's an acorn that grows into a beautiful oak tree. It's something that will grow and use and will grow our business as time progresses. I mean, there's agents, I'm not going to mention any names, they don't deserve it, over in Hove that have been doing it for a long time. And it helps them. They're at that £1 million, £2 million marketplace, and it aids them because people watch it and see what they do and so on and so forth. The way that we do our social media and the filming is slightly different. I try and as my team does, try and get our passion out on the recordings and so on and so forth. And yes, there are some people that watch the recordings just so they can see what we're doing. But you never know who's going to be sitting with them and say, "Fine enough, I'm looking for a property, and that's exactly what I'm looking for." So every time, every follower that follows, every little inch that you take, as I say, it's a growing thing that you start, and it grows and it grows and it grows. And it might take 6 months, it might take 2 years, it might take 3 years, but it will be a success. And I think if you don't embrace social media as an essential part of your marketing in this day and age, then you're stupid. Right. Simple as that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, because leading back onto what you said, with obviously as followers sort of start to see things, they'll share it with their friends, and you never know, they might not even be following it, but their friend might have seen it anyway.
Well, exactly. I mean, this is why, and hopefully people that have seen us, and when I do our films about new properties, I don't just stand there and say 1 bedroom, low ground floor, flat, has a garden. I put a lot into it because I'm generally enthusiastic about the property that I'm showing.
Yeah.
I really, really am. And yes, some people watch it just so they can, to be frank, laugh at me, but I don't care because they're watching it.
Yeah.
By definition, I've got them to watch it. I've done something to get them to watch it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And they're going to tell someone, oh, you should see Paul Bott on his Instagram. They'll see it. Mum will be looking over the shoulder, or dad, or partner, whatever, looking over his shoulder and say, well, we're about to sell our house, and he looks like a passionate kind of guy. We're going to use him. Who knows where it's going to lead? Who knows where it's going to lead? It's another stream that you must be in to utilise everything that you have. It's like, I'm going on a bit now, I know, so I apologise. We go 30 years ago, it was essential to have a for sale board outside the house. Essential. I mean, marketing is still essential today. Yeah, today is social media. What it will be in 30 years' time, God only knows. But as the market develops, as the market moves forward, you have to grow and adapt and grab hold of every little thing that you can use to get your name out there, to get your brand out there. Social media, absolutely spot on.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Once again, flying back to a completely different topic. Obviously, the last time we spoke, the mortgage rates were at a different point. The market was at a different point. What's changed since that time?
Very incredible. I mean, it's interesting because I spoke with Neil this morning at 7:56 a.m. So it was the latest news. Obviously, I can't mention lenders directly, otherwise you wouldn't use Neil. You must use Neil. Neil, Blue Pepper Mortgages. Basically, the base rate is doing what it's doing. It seems to be having the correct effect on inflation, which is down. I believe it was announced day before yesterday, 6.7%. So it's coming down, which is great news for everybody. You drive past the petrol station and you notice that petrol and diesel are coming down as well. I was in Asda the other day, £1.46 a litre. Brilliant, fantastic. It was £2 a few months ago. I had a chat with Neil this morning. Out of the 168 lenders that are out there producing well over 4,000 products between them, and that ranges from buying a house to holiday let mortgages to buy to let mortgages and so on. Just to give you a quick example, a buy to let lender this week reduced one of their rates by 0.95%. 0.95%.
That's
Huge, absolutely huge. And it weren't that expensive in the first place. It's not like they've gone from 9 to 8.05, I think it is, off the top of my head. Residentially, a lot where before we were looking at 6, 7s, 8%. Now we're looking at 4s, 5s. The majority of lenders have dropped over the last few weeks by 0.5%. Which is great. So where the Bank of England base has gone up 0.25. With not trying to sound dismissive, and I've said it a million times, ignore the Bank of England, let them get on with it. They get paid far too much money, but I shouldn't say that, but there we go. And absolutely fantastic. Absolutely. And the interesting thing is, without boring too much, is that lenders are very, it's interesting because none of them wants to be the best lender because they'll just be inundated dramatically. There was a particular lender who's pulled back some of their rates at the moment. We had a mortgage valuation done. It took, because they were so busy, 3 weeks for the results of the mortgage valuation. 3 weeks instead of being turned around to mortgage offer in 48 hours. 3 weeks. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But that just goes to show how busy they are, which restores everybody's confidence in the market. If people weren't buying, if the market wasn't good, they wouldn't be busy.
No, that makes sense. Okay, and speaking of deal of the week, where are we with that?
Deal of the week, he wouldn't give me one. Because he said it's very, very difficult because, and it's a very fair answer, and I'll wrap this up quickly because I'm pretty sure we're running out of time. Each lender obviously lends different things. Each product that depends on your circumstance, your deposit level. So, somebody's got a 50% deposit is going to get a better deal than someone that's either got a 10% deposit or even someone who's doing government assistance help to buy, that type of thing. Shared ownership. There's so many different categories that one can't really pick out. If I said, all right, if I've got 25% deposit, what's the best? But that's, by mentioning one rate, I'm gonna upset 90 other people because it's got nothing to do with them whatsoever. The whole picture is good news.
Right.
The whole picture is good news. The Bank of England, as I say, are doing what they're doing. Inflation is down to 6.7%. It's the lowest it's been for a long time. Mortgages are softening and softening. We are nicely heading towards the direction of a normal everyday marketplace.
Perfect. That sounds like great news. I think that's pretty much all the questions I have. So all I can say is thank you so much for having me on and answering the abundance of questions that I did have in such a professional manner and making it informative as well for everyone who's listening.
Hey, listen, you're welcome. I mean, I ask again, if there's anybody out there who wants to come and join us, ask me some questions. Obviously, they have to be appropriate to the property market. It's essential, but it's essential for us to keep keep doing these podcasts because the market changes day by day. Rates will be different tomorrow, so I'm very excited. Yes, we are at the end of August. I'm very excited looking into the autumn towards Christmas about where the property market is going to take us. We're certainly in a lot of better place than we were this time last year. But listen, one thing I would like to add, of course, as ever, is if you like what you're listening to, please subscribe to us so we can get the word out, help more people like you. If you're listening, you're obviously listening all the time, appreciate that. But help us help you. So subscribe to what we're doing. We're doing it every other Friday now instead of every Friday. But we will be back in 2 weeks' time. So thank you very much for listening and we'll speak soon and God bless you all out there. Thank you.